There are more than 200,000 cold cases in the country. Many of the victims are from minority communities. Tonight on the Evidence Room, we're launching a new KPRC2 original series called Z-Files, where we discuss cold cases within marginalized communities.
This man has an 8 to 10 year history of killing women all across the country.
An employee coming in just after 8 this morning made the horrible discovery. 4 employees of the Malibu Grand Prix stabbed to death.
She doesn't dispute that she stabbed her husband a staggering 193 times.
Harris's 16-year-old daughter witnessed her stepmother run the wheels of her Mercedes over her dad several times.
Police say the suspect may be responsible for the murders of at least 6 women.
It's horrible. You just don't get over it.
What if he was alive and I was the only one looking for him?
The Evidence Room producer, Jason Wynn, joins me now to talk about the Evidence Room and Z-Files. Good morning, sir.
How excited are you about that
I am
open right now?
extremely excited. It looks amazing. We have a great team working on this, and so, you know, our hope is that this does so much great work within the community.
Yeah, well, I'm going to throw my reporter hat on.
Okay,
It's been a little while since I've been able to do this, but we're going to flip the switch. I'm going to actually ask Zach a lot of these questions
Do you need a prompter?
No, I don't need a prompter. Sam knows where I'm going with all of this. I'm not worried about it. So Sam's the producer back in the booth here. But I really want to know about Z-Files.
Yeah.
You came to us with a plan, with an idea.
Yeah.
How did you develop that?
Well, you know, as reporters, often we get assignments to cover murders. They're not assignments that we necessarily enjoy. They're hard, they're tough. Yeah. And they're even that much more tough. They're that much more difficult for families of murder victims, for loved ones. And so having covered so many of them, you know, you step back and you realize this is just a small portion of the pie. There are so many more cases over here that we do not get assigned to, that we do not cover. And in total, in all, there are so many cases within this pie that just don't get solved.
Yep.
And so it got me thinking, like, what can we do? This is a public service. What we do is not about us. It's about you. It's about the community we live in. And so I took it upon myself to go to a Crime Stoppers meeting. And it was during that meeting I was able to talk and listen to these loved ones get up. They show up every month. And Crime Stoppers is a national organization. There are chapters all across the country.
And they're pretty big here in Houston. But the whole part of this meeting, and this is the part that really intrigues me, is you're focusing on minority type cases.
Yes, and that's what I was getting at. So within these meetings, when I showed up to these meetings, you look around the room, these are people from marginalized communities. And I'm not talking just about racial minorities. I'm talking about women, children, different races, LGBT folks. And so talking with them, I realized there are so many people within those communities that did not speak to us when these crimes occurred, that have never had that opportunity.
Well, that's kind of why I want to get to this part, because we're picking up the Deshaun Hollins case. This is one of the older cases that were probably, a lot of people were probably born around that time that are watching the show right now. Why was this case the first one that we wanted to crank open the cold cases, pull that file out, and actually highlight that story?
So it was at that first meeting I went to, the Crime Stoppers meeting. I had the opportunity to meet this woman. Her name is Sharon Shepard. Sharon Shepard kind of pioneers this group. She really champions these people. She's there because her 2 nephews were murdered. She told me about Annette Parson, and that is who you'll meet tonight during the Evidence Room Z-Files. And it was her son, Deshaun Hollins is her son. And we shot that episode a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we shot that a little while ago,
And it was during that conversation, with Sharon. Sharon told me that every year since 1992, Annette sends flyers the Crime Stopper flyers out regarding her son's murder to the people she believes had a part in this.
Yes, and we got to say, there's been no charges in this case
at all.
And there's an idea of who this person may be, and that's why she sends the letter.
And this can happen. This can happen within cold cases. They just don't have the evidence to charge.
And I know when we were talking, like, that was one of the hardest moments to really understand, right? Is that the evidence was kind of lacking, but the information was there. I mean, explore that a little bit more with our viewers.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. For his situation specifically, according to Annette, police believe that he was murdered in Houston on Cook Road in 1992, March 15th, I believe it was, and he was brought to Austin County where he was dumped. And so along the way, there is surveillance video, there is tangible evidence, physical evidence, but still not enough to close this case. And so it's heartbreaking for these people, and especially for her, never having had the opportunity to speak with us. The first time in more than 31 years, she's sitting down with a media outlet to get her story out in hopes someone will know something and they will be able to say something.
Well, you know, Andy Kahn was there along with us, and Annette read a poem. And I think this was touching for just the photographers, for me, for you. I mean, when you're actually going through that personal experience where she wrote a poem after how many years dedicated to her son? Like, how did you feel when you heard all of that?
Oh, it was heartbreaking. You felt the pain, and I don't know if you remember, and I do not, but I know it took her time to sit down and write it. She was grieving, obviously, and it wasn't something that, you know, she did that same year. I believe she said it was years, right?
Yeah, it took her years because it was just one of those that she didn't know how to put everything into words.
I had asked her, I said, was it cathartic? And she wasn't really comfortable with that word, but it was a way for her to express the pain that she was experiencing from really that point on. And she talks about putting on sort of this poker face, you know, showing up with a smile because she knows her family needed her to do that, just to be there for them. And so it's really tough. It's a really tough situation.
Zach, I know when we pulled that open that we got to see the brand new open, at the very end of it, you see a cold case file cabinet, right?
Yes.
And you name this the Z files. And I know it's not just a play on your name,
right,
but it has some real good context to it. Why did we go to the back of the filing cabinet?
More importantly, that's where this comes from. It's the cases that these people feel, who are impacted by these cases, they feel that they have been forgotten about. So growing up, yes, the first initial in my name is Z for Zach. And I remember standing, you know, if it was alphabetical order, I was at the back of the line. I was way at the back, and I was last to be called. And so when I was talking to them at that first meeting that I attended, the Crime Stoppers meeting, I asked them, I said, how do you feel about this? And they said, that represents exactly how we feel. We feel as if our case is at the back of the filing cabinet. It's the forgotten about cases. And that is why we came up with Z files.
Well, let's talk about this a little bit different, because we have the evidence room. The evidence room's been pumping out different stories every week for a while now, and now we're bringing in Z files. Let's talk about the difference a little bit, because the evidence room is something where the case is closed.
Justice has been.
It's allegedly, you know, justice has been served on a lot, but there's, you know, you get to see the DNA, you get to touch the stuff, you know, and we'll talk about a case that we're going to have next week soon, but you get to actually go through the evidence. Cold cases, not so much. I mean, we didn't have very much for this one.
No, and especially when we talk about, you know, the whole point of this is giving a platform for people who never had the opportunity to speak out. And so for Deshaun's case specifically, we never covered the case back in 1992. So where do you start? You show up with very few items. I don't think she had any.
We had like 5 pictures.
Right.
You know, and we had the Crime Stoppers report. And the rest, we had to go find ourselves.
The poem, right, and then going back into the files. So Yeah, big difference.
Cold cases are one of those things that, like, if we don't continue to bring them to light,
Right. They're just gonna...
we'll never know. And the biggest thing I think about this, and I think Andy Kahn expressed this very well with Crime Stoppers, is we need to keep talking about these cases, and that's why Z-Files is so important.
And if we don't talk about these cases, Z-Files is just going to continue to get larger and larger and larger at the back of the filing cabinet.
Yeah. All right, so I know everybody wants to know, we're taking the break for the Z-Files, but we do have another episode coming up. And
next
it involves, it's next week, and it involves Clara Harris. And Clara Harris, I'm sure a lot of people know that name, and it links with a Mercedes.
Mercedes?
Yes, a Mercedes. So Clara Harris was a dentist, and she ran over her husband with her Mercedes. She found her husband cheating in the hotel that they actually met and got married at. So I think they got married at, and I know they were at that hotel prior to. So that hotel has a lot of linkage. But Amy Davis is actually going to be joining Robert Arnold on the evidence room next week. So we are bringing it all back. But Clara Harris is going to be a big story that everybody will want to watch. But tonight, it's all about Deshaun.
Yeah, it's all about Deshaun tonight. I will join Robert Arnold for Z-Files at 6:30 right here on KPRC2+. Next week, Amy Davis will be joining Robert Arnold to resume the evidence room.
Yeah.
Jason.
Zach, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you for everything that you do, especially getting this off. This was a big lift. And so I appreciate the work that you've done.
And don't forget, we're always looking for people to message us. Zach is now opening up his email address.
I have a whole stack of files, but
so if you've got a cold case, make sure you just email the KPRC2 Investigates and Zach, and we will try to get to those too.
Awesome. Jason, thank you.
Yeah.
It is